In the seven deadly sins, there's always got to be somebody at the top of the food chain. You know, Meliodas' dad, for example, is somebody that's considered at the top of the food chain. He's like a god tier of the verse. He created the whole demon realm and everything. But how strong are we talking exactly? He's one of those beings that continually gains energy by greedily consuming all the living things of this world, aka purgatory in this particular panel, and is constantly growing bigger, larger. He's part of the reason why the 10 commandments that we see in the seven deadly sins show is so powerful. So you kind of get an idea of how strong his full power is just by the bare minimum of what his so-called minion commandments can do, because he's the one that gave them the commandments curse anyway, like them Haxy curses and stuff, like turning you to stone if you lie from this guy. Just all the hexy stuff you see is because of him, technically. Because the 10 commandments is literally his strength in half and granted to his servant. He didn't split it in half and give it to one being because it was threatening his rule. So he made a strategy to where he would split his power into 10 fragments and 10 warriors. These curses, as long as the 10 commandments remain, he will not die because they have fragments of his very soul in it. He can do other type of curses like curse you with immortality. Him and other top tiers like the Supreme Deity can rain curses like what they did to Bell and Halloween, and hellfire and lightning, you know, so energy projection as well. So we've already established anything these beings can do, he can do better when it comes to raw power in general, blast power, punching power, blah, blah, blah. But we know he can split his soul into pieces to possess beings. So if everybody gets all the 10 commandments, he can literally just completely possess other beings with his own power. For example, he even did it with his own son Meliodas. That's why he looks like this. He also did it to Zeldris, but it took time to get his strength up in his body when he did it to Zeldris. Weakest state, getting more control, full power when he was possessing Zeldris. So if you see these characters being talked about in the video, just know it's still this guy anyway. And I'm going to get to later where he can actually possess entire land masses like the entire Britannia, but that's none of my business. It's implied he can manipulate weathers and thunderstorms. When he was possessing Meliodas and fighting everybody, pretty much soloing, he made like an energy storm. In this particular occasion, to show off his power. They even talk about how intense it is, and this is when the cast and crew was like near their peaks, and they were struggling against him. You already know, energy projection, like summoning lightning, like I've shown here with Meliodas and Bond. Mists of death over the entire city. He has hacks that nullify magical attacks just in general. That's busted. He can devour souls, or one can say emotions, like in this occasion when Meliodas was going berserk and didn't just have no sympathy for nothing. And this also helped him gain power, so of course he had incentive to do so for Meliodas. But his special attribute that makes him such a threat is his special, unique ability known as the Ruler. Any magical attack that's used to harm him in any way that's meant to inflict him damage, he can just empower him instead of harm him like you intended. A good example is when Bond tried to use magic, you know, his magic power to snatch his power. He ended up getting his own power absorbed instead, thanks to this busted ruler ability. His special ability allows all attacks that are made to hurt or weaken him, inverts to convert all the attacks and weaknesses you received into healing and fortification. So if you shoot a spell to kill him, it'll just power him up. That's what makes him even more scarier. So when he activates this ability, all attacks that were meant to weaken or harm him just strengthen him instead. But another thing that I wish we would have got on panel viewing of is the fact that he made an entire dimension for the demon clan and etc. With statements like this, one can say he could at least be a planet level being, or depending on how you perceive it, a dimensional type of being, depending on how big this dimension is. But there's no really way to tell how big the dimension is. But the one thing we do know is it's a place polluted and corrupt, land covered. In the anime, when we see the demon world, we see that it does have light at least. It's not complete pitch black, so it's implied it could have a star. Did the Demon King create the stars in this realm as well? Or did he create 2 moons? What's the limits of them? Could he just create a miniature star and blast it at you if you wanted? Very vague, but there's a possibility based on the creation ability. I think we all can agree that whatever these demons you see in any media in this show, the Demon King can do better. It's obvious they can use darkness, so that means the Demon King can use darkness attacks like we see here, crushing the entire sins. We know they can eat souls, so can he? Then we got demons that are literally mountain-sized that are nothing compared to the Demon King, so we know he's way past mountain level. Weakling demons can slice mountains apart, so yeah, it's obvious. Lower tiers like Diane that are not strong as the Demon King one-on-one, she was able to make big old land masses float like this. A form of Meliodas that's nowhere near the strength of the Demon King, when his powers were sealed off, can just pick up a random twig and just casually split mountains apart like it's no big deal. Meliodas was able to wipe out an entire country. All these feats like this just make the Demon King more impressive, considering the Demon King was above him at the time of Meliodas doing this. We've actually seen the 10 Commandments on their own without even being combined do some incredible thing. Little minions like Gallant of Truth can destroy an entire city. Gallant can swipe with his magic power critical overdrive to slice mountains from afar without even having direct contact. Just a mere shockwave aftershock was able to do this. Matter of fact, this guy was so powerful that it literally took the combined effort of pretty much all the sins of the entire 7 deadly sins to take him down anyway. And not even that, Escanor is in his prime state, and then she's using like power to amplify them at the same time. See how she's actually overflowing them with energy just to fight him? Even though they're already powered up, she had to use Limit Breaker, Merlin did. Then Merlin had to use an attack that unified all their blasts all together at the same time. Like you can literally see them using all their attacks. To make matters worse, Meliodas has his attack called Full Counter where he deflects magical attacks. He makes it double the power it was before, and then Meliodas just kept on doing a hack by spamming an attack like this so he can just keep on countering it to make the attack stronger than it normally would be, to make it even stronger over and over again, to keep on making it stronger with full counter, to take him out when he was bonded with the literal Britannia land. Do you think he's a universal entity? I think he's probably at least a Planet Buster type character at the very least, since we don't really know the specifics on how he created that universe. Did he do it over time? Did he do it with the blink of an eye? You know, that type of context is very important to really determining these type of things, but who knows? But he's still respectable regardless. Could level an entire country, stuff like that. But I also got to say thank you to guys that have donated. It helps out a lot. Respect the Demon King though. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.